Howdy folks, you're watching Deuce and Guns, and today we're talking about the very best rifle deal for 2018. We just turned over a new year. Happy New Year! But first, let's talk about last year's greatest rifle deal. 2017, we saw the best rifle deal out there. For 200 bucks, you could get a Thompson Center compass rifle, chambered in all kinds of different calibers out there, from anywhere from 223 all the way to 300 Win Mag. So, great rifle choice out there, and it was super cheap. 200 bucks after the $75 mail-in rebate. Now, if any of you bought your Thompson Center compass rifle after I did my videos on him, then you're probably sitting around thinking, where in the heck is my rebate? Well, let me tell you something. I did my first review on the 300 Win Mag right here, the 300 Win Mag here. I did that review, that came out on my channel late September. I bought both of these. They came in on the same day, early September, and I immediately put in a request for the rebate. Well, today is January 4th, and I just now got my rebates yesterday. So that's over 4 months. 4 months from the time I sent in the rebate to when I got them. Now, some of you guys may be getting your rebates faster or slower than that, but 4 months was my time period. But that was last year. That was last year. This is this year, 2018. So what is the very best rifle deal out there for 2018? Well, so it happens to still be the Thompson Center compass rifle, because Thompson Center, they noticed that there was a huge demand on these rifles, and there was some back orders, and they couldn't fulfill all the requests, all the demand out there for them. So they've extended their rebate. They actually have a new rebate out there. It's still $75 for the compass rifle, and it is extended from January 1st all the way to April 30th. So there's a download right there where you can see it up close and personal. But yeah, they have actually extended that, and you can go to Kentucky Gun Company and a couple other sites out there. I'll put links in the description below the video, of course, like always, where you can get this rifle for about $275, and then you can go ahead and put in that $75 rebate, brings down the rifle to 200 bucks again. That's amazing. Now, since my original review, I have spent a lot more time with these two rifles out in the field. So what I'm going to do is do basically a part 2 of the video review on these rifles, and I just want to give you guys some extra information about these rifles before you spend your hard-earned money on it. Okay, I've taken these down from the wall, and of course, both of these are completely empty. There is no ammo on the table for these, nor in the magazine, so they're all safe here. So let's go over a few little details that I might have failed to mention in my other reviews, and things that I have learned since. Number one, both of these, I personally think, have good triggers from the factory, but they are heavy. It's a very crisp trigger. It's very crisp, no creep at all. It's just, I mean, glass rod, but it's a hefty glass rod. Both of them are about 6 pounds, right on the nose almost of 6 pounds. If you're out in the field actually hunting, then a 6-pound trigger, that's not going to be a problem. It should not be a problem for you. Now, if you're at the bench range and you're trying to just basically make tiny holes in a target, then a 6-pound trigger is a little bit on the heavy side. Now, I personally am not bothered by that because I collect Curio Relic, surplus rifles. So a 6-pound trigger is nothing to me, but it is not a match grade trigger. Definitely not. It's just too heavy for that. Now, originally, I was supplying information that the trigger was adjustable, and that is true, but the 6 pounds is the lightest that it's adjustable to now. It used to be adjustable down to 3.5 pounds, I believe, was the original adjustment, and that's what the original literature said. But there was a recall because there was a safety issue with the trigger. And now that recall happened about 1.5 years ago or so, so anything fairly new, fairly recently built is completely up to code already. But the old ones, they of course recall them for safety. And the reason why they recall them was because if you had a round in the chamber and the safety was off, it could go off. If you had it set for the lightest setting and you dropped it, it could discharge. And of course you can't sell anything like that. So they fixed the problem by making the trigger heavier. And they put it from 3.5 pounds minimum to a 6-pound minimum trigger. Now, if you want to, for some reason, you can make that trigger heavier than 6 pounds. Why you do that, I have no idea, because 6 pounds is heavy enough for pretty much all situations. Now, there's several ways you can still lighten this trigger up, and I am going to do a video later on how you can lighten up the trigger. I've been toying with it a little bit. I'm not really done with my full research yet on it, but I will be making a full video of that in the future. I think we can get this down to a good 3.5, 4 pounds still But like anything else, if you modify the trigger and you have a safety issue with it, that's on you for that one. And the second thing I may not have mentioned in my previous videos is the magazine. There's a couple of issues here that I wanted to point out. Of course, number one is the Magnum caliber 300 Win Mag and the 7mm mag. They are a 4-round magazine. I wish I held more, but they don't. 4-round magazine for the Magnum caliber, and the standard size calibers are going to be 5-round magazines. The magazines are all plastic, which means eventually they will wear out. You will have a problem with them chambering. Now, how many rounds will it take? Now, it looks like it has some glass fiber reinforcing in there, so it should be able to handle some abuse, but it's not going to take 1,000 rounds through this. But are you going to shoot 1,000 rounds through this thing? Probably not. And another issue with this is the latch. The actual latch on the magazine is also plastic. It's got a single roll pin through there and a spring, and that's all that holds the whole thing in there, and a little tab on the back. So you got a little tab on the back that could break off. The little tab in the front that's hinged, that could break off. Now, is this a big deal? Not really. Remember, the rifle is $200. The magazines can be bought for about 20 or 30 bucks a piece. So really, at this point, we're nitpicking to nitpick. I just want you guys to know exactly what you're going to buy and what kind of issues could possibly be out there when you buy this. Okay, moving on. Now, I remember I did mention this in some of my other videos about this rifle here, but the Mauser style safety, you know, I'm not a huge fan of it. It does work. It has lightened up quite a bit, because remember when I first opened up these rifles, that was before I even shot them, and the safety was very, very stiff, was extremely stiff, but it has really opened up and loosened up quite a bit. So that's really easy to flick back and forth now. That's not a problem whatsoever. Go to the other one here. This is the 6.5 Creedmoor. There we go. Yep. Same thing. They've really worked their way in. Now, placing the safety on the middle position where you can still operate the bolt, but it locks out the trigger, that is still kind of vague as far as where that actually is. There's not really a heavy detent for that. But again, that's kind of nitpicky, because normally you're not going to be even using that position. What you're going to probably do is go ahead and chamber your round, and then if you're going to be walking around in the woods for, you know, when you're hunting, then you're going to push that all the way back to where it's completely locked out. So that locks out your bolt, so it doesn't get snagged on a branch and get opened up by a branch or by going through a fence or something. And this, of course, is going to lock out the trigger as well. One of my other complaints was the stock. I did not like the stock. The stock feels cheap. It is hollow. It sounds cheap. And it's not a... The rifle is much better than the stock. The stock feels like an afterthought, just like we got to put a stock on here. What's the cheapest thing that we can put on here and it still function correctly? And that's what they built. Well, you're covered now, because Boyd's has a nice wooden stock. You can order them in various colors and types and materials, and they're really, really cool. Here's some pictures of some of them out there, and there's an amazing fit, and I'm going to get one for at least one, if not a couple of them, for my rifle. And speaking of rifles, plural, remember, I can't remember if I mentioned it in my 300 Win Mag video or my 6.5 Creedmoor video, but in one of these, or maybe both of them, I mentioned I was going to buy one chambered in 308, because I really want a 308 that I can put subsonic ammo through and my suppressor and have a super quiet field gun in a very common caliber such as 308. And of course, also 308 is very easy to load subsonically. So in the next couple of months, I will be ordering a Thompson Center Compass rifle chambered in 308 that I can put my suppressor on and have just a super, super silent setup, which is going to be awesome. And I'm probably going to order that through the Kentucky Gun Company website. They seem to have the best website, the fastest shipping, and the best overall experience for the buyer. Now, there are other options out there as well if you want to buy from another company, and I have all these links in the description below the video, but you can get them all for about $275. Get them shipped to you, go through your FFL dealer, and send in your rebate for that 75 bucks back. So if you sat on the sidelines throughout 2017's best rifle deal in the world, then you can go ahead and still get that rifle deal all the way to April 30th of 2018. And honestly, I cannot recommend this rifle enough, especially at the price point that it's at. I mean, you can buy a better rifle out there. Of course, there's always better rifles out there, but it's going to cost you a lot more money. Well, guys, that's it for me today. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a like and go up subscribe. A lot more is on the way. And remember, I do a live stream every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's usually going to be about guns or ammo or trucks or cars or whatever I can think of at the time. So go ahead and stop on by. I usually have the chat going, and we all have a discussion, a little party about firearms and stuff. It's usually a fun time. But if you can't stop on by there, that is fine. You can still leave your comments or questions in the comment box below the video. Well, guys, you have a great day. See ya.